Alan. I'd like to welcome everybody to the April the 3rd, 2023 work session of the Limestone County Commission. I'd like to have several crowd here. I'm sure we got several public comments this morning. So, Ellen, I guess we'll get started with that.
Sherry Lynn Clark.
Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind, please step over to the microphone, please.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. On behalf of myself and the 20 to 35 participants regularly attending water aerobics class at the Athens Health and Wellness Pool, there was great celebration and thanks to Colin Daly for his involvement in keeping the pool open. Last month, it was announced that that would happen. We were all very happy about that. I'm frankly not familiar with the agreement with the Huntsville Hospital System, but I understand this announcement last Friday that the pool is now closed indefinitely has something to do with that agreement. We would appreciate some information on that and what, if anything, we can do about it. The water exercise is extremely important to those of us attempting to strengthen and keep our mobility. For myself, I do not have insurance to cover this expense. It takes me 25 to 30 minutes to drive there. It's very important to me personally. I joined specifically for the water exercise. So please take this up with the powers that be and do what you can to keep the Athens pool open. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Stephen Clark.
Mr. Clark.
Good morning, everybody. What she said, listen. First thing I'd like to ask about is, for example, they delivered trash cans to our curb. No, we don't have a curb. Our street side the other day. It is a 12.5 cubic foot can. I'd like to have something smaller, like this 6 or 8 cubic foot, something that I can manage up my gravel driveway. I have hip problems and such like that, and I was told by the truck driver, not available. Is that true?
It is true at the current moment, yes, sir.
Because I do have my own trash can that I can use in the interim, but who knows what I'm going to face with the driver of the trash truck. Okay. The other subject I would like to talk about is the grade of Liberty Lane, which is the bridge. We are experiencing potholes and ruts greater than 4.5 inches in depth. The culvert that I've mentioned there, right immediately beside that gravel road, which is uncontained by bulkheads or anything like that, is 11.5 feet deep. So when you swerve a pothole, you're subject to driving your car into the ditch, and it's going to capture it, no doubt. That's immediate concern. The damage, the wear and tear to our vehicles is tremendous. That's coming on and off the bridge. Sorry, you can't miss those. Okay? It's going to break cords of tires. It's breaking the suspension of the vehicles. This is all about public safety, people. We live there. We travel that road countless times through the day. I'm really getting aggravated by that street and the way it's being maintained. I'm understanding there's some history behind asphalt paving, the bridge, the maintenance. I'm sorry, Darryl, it's just not happening. The last time we got gravel and stone delivered to that was about a year ago, and it's not being maintained by the county. We, the residents, are out there scraping and dragging things to keep the road somewhat passable. I think this is a bit excessive on our behalf. I don't have the equipment to do road work. I need some help. So I please ask often, let's get her done. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Cassell.
Mr. Cassell.
Good morning. My name's Jeff Cassell. I've been the one probably emailing you guys about this whole new trash solid waste program. I do have some concerns, and I think a lot of our residents may have some concerns about this. One of the big things is it's going to limit the amount of service that our residents get on a weekly basis. And I've done all the schematics. I've done all the engineering on this. We're looking at getting a new trash can that holds 95 gallons, which is a volume. And under the previous program, we were able to have up to 240 gallons, which is the cubic portion of that. And we're getting probably about a third less services than we would be getting under the old program. And I've sent both of you guys, Mr. Daly and Mr. Barksdale, I've sent you several emails dating back several weeks ago. I also sent you some pictures. I did my own little pictures of, how many trash bags you can fit in one of the dumpsters or the trash cans or trash carts that you have. And we're looking at a maximum of 2. If you want to stuff 3 in there, you could probably stuff 3 in there, but who knows if that trash is going to get dumped out when that automated arm comes up. Now, I understand, we're here to make things better, but I just want to know, how is this making it better for the residents? What's the benefit of the residents? What's the value of it? How's this going to keep us going? The issues that we're going to have is if people can't fit enough of their trash into those containers, that one container, then where is that other trash going to go? And I know I've been watching some social media posts that you've been having, Mr. Barksdale, and you said, I'm just going to have to take it to the dump. Well, me taking it to the dump is a 24-mile round trip because I live in East Limestone. So that's going to cost me. We're going to see lots more trash in our community, and I don't think that's something that we need. I made a couple of recommendations. Let's get an additional trash can possibly. Okay, maybe have an additional trash days. Maybe put some additional solid waste areas within each one of our districts. Matter of fact, coming in today, I saw all those blue containers out in Athens. Okay, those blue containers are a recycling program. Why don't we have a recycling program? Those are just some of the ideas that I have, just to make sure that we don't have trash littered all over our communities. And I think, and we're paying the same amount of price. I think it's $18. Is that correct? So we're paying $18 a month, but we're getting less service for our residents. And what I calculated out is we're authorized 6 bags under the old program, and if we're only able to put 2 bags in each one of those cans, we just decreased our service to the residents by 2/3. So I need somebody to take a look at that, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick Yaduk.
How you doing this morning, Rick?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Members of the commission and audience members, my name is Richard Yaduk. I'm a resident on Ferguson Lane in Wingate, in the Wingate subdivision. And my comments have to do with the planned Phase 3 construction in the Wingate neighborhood. I live at roughly at the intersection of Ira Lane and Ferguson Lane. And during the construction of Phase 2, of the road's construction, from the windows of my front yard, I can see the condition of Ira Lane post Phase 2 construction. And the roads took quite a beating during Phase 2. And particularly there's one spot at the end of Ira Lane, which is quite in a state of disrepair, in my opinion. I took some photos which I have on my phone if anyone wants to see them. And my concern is that now that we've been notified that Phase 3 will be soon begun, I'm concerned that the condition on Ferguson Lane might also be seriously degraded with these heavy earth-moving vehicles on flatbed trailers, and I'm concerned that that similar damage could occur to the condition of Ferguson Lane without being repaired. Also, another lesser important issue, but it happened during the construction of Phase 2, was that the trucks carrying the gravel down Ira Lane toward the Phase 2 construction, when they took the curve, repeatedly dumped gravel in the road at the intersection of Ira Lane and Ferguson Lane. It was never cleaned up. I asked one of the people in the construction crew about it. They said they'd look into it and nothing was ever done. So those are my concerns that I have about, as we move forward to Phase 3, that that new standards are put in place to protect the interest of the existing residents on Ferguson Lane, that the condition of Ferguson Lane does not deteriorate like it did on Ira Lane, because that ultimately affects our home values, and we're concerned about that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Wes Addison.
Mr. Addison, if you don't mind, step up here, please, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My concern after I've seen the last statement about the expansion of Ferguson Lane, another over 3,000 square feet, I believe it was, is the traffic that's going to come in there and we only got one way in and one way out. And we've got 49 houses originally in the first phase, and the DSLD is putting in 67 as of right now, and you're talking about 80 more on the other end down there. That's going to cause a lot of traffic coming in and out of that one little street. Ferguson Lane ain't that broad or wide, and and it concerned me about the safety part of it. Some of those who live on the other end and have a fire and you can't get down there, and where a minimal fire turns into a complete burnout because you can't get through for the traffic coming in and out there, and the speed, and the people, that's a straight stretch, and people tend to kind of air it out down through there, and if somebody parks has to park on the street or something, they don't leave a lot of room to get through there. And that's my biggest concern, and most everybody I've talked to in the subdivision is that we need another way in, another way out for safety reasons. And that kind of sticks in my craw a little bit that maybe y'all going to let this happen. But I don't think it's fair to us to have to. I've been there almost 14 years, and like I say, it's 49 houses been in there all this time, and the traffic, you'd be surprised, I bet, if you took a traffic count in there, how much traffic is in and out of that little subdivision there. And that's my concern, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mary Ann Jacobs.
Ms. Jacobs, if you don't mind, please.
Two gentlemen preceding me spoke to the concerns that I have. I'm concerned about the traffic, because if there were an emergency where ambulances or fire trucks or even the police had to go, the sheriff's department had to come in, and several of them coming in and out with the traffic, it could get very, very dangerous. Now, my house it faces Hinton, but the side of my house is on Ira, and beside my house is where the street's torn up. When we moved in there, it's a very smooth street. Now there are chunks coming out of it where the big equipment has come in, and I'm concerned with two things about that. One, the condition of it, and two, who is responsible for repairing the damage when it was the construction people who tore it up? And so I need that. Also, those of us living in Phase 1 have a restrictive covenant, and it has 24 sections to it, and it covers lots of things, of course, the 24 thing. But I'm concerned if the other two developments that are coming in are going to have that same restrictive covenant, because if they don't, they can really change the condition of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Ronnie Cornelson.
Corneliuson.
I'm a little nervous. Miss Jacobs was my English teacher, so I'm not. My name's Ronnie Corneliuson. I've lived on my piece of property for 63 years there on Thatch Road. Wingate is on my south side. It's bordered against my property. In 1988, I had a survey done with my property, and the pen has been out there the whole time since 1988. But when Wingate in 2005, Neil Dowd and them bought the property, they came to me with a survey that over in 1950 or 1940, there was a 50-foot mistake made. It could have been to my advantage to the south, but me knowing the existing line and all that, then I didn't pursue it. I didn't come to the original first meeting on the survey, and I just kind of ignored it. But after right now, I've got 3 houses from Phase 1 that's on my line. Well, they had put the pins on my side of the property. This is a certified survey. But they end up having to quit claim property that I don't understand all that legal stuff. But anyway, they moved the pins south. Now this news phase, my property's still in, and I've already told them just go to my pin and make a straight line, because that's what my survey. Well, Mr. Matthews has went with a survey that he wants to zigzag in between the trees and this point and that point, quick claim, and it's just it's absurd, and I don't know if they've drawn the plot out for this yet, but it's been an issue since I went to a lawyer. I'm not lawyered up. I don't want to, because why spend money when you're fighting a lawyer, okay? But there's been about 5 different owners of this property, so you can't really tell who's, it's all this LLC. But, and plus the sewage, everything's, this has just been a disaster from day one. But it's a nice, I don't have no problem with the subdivision. But when you start coming in and encroaching on people's property and I've never personally talked to Bill Matthews. He never has came and talked to me personally about this, but it's always been phone calls. But it's just something that I'm concerned about. Once they laid the, I thought there'd probably be a plot, or is it just a work session, or what is it? I mean,
We'll Mark, between the meeting, Mark will explain it to you. He'll have.
Okay, but
between the meetings, we'll let him explain.
But this, like I said, I've got a survey and I've got all my documentation. I've even got all the surveys. I got all the proof. I just want to let y'all know where there is a line dispute. I didn't think you're supposed to sell property if there's a line dispute. I thought that was a kind of well-known thing, that if you know there's a line dispute, how can you sell a property to another person? But that's for them to tell. I just want to let you know and let it be documented. There is a problem back there, and it's very simple. It's not major acres, But if I have to lawyer up, then I'm going to spend a lot of money that I don't really necessarily want to. And unfortunately, they've got the big boys. They're lawyers, so I'm kind of at a disadvantage, and it feels like it's kind of a bullying technique in a sense, But I don't have no problem with the subdivision being back there. It's a nice subdivision. But I'm just concerned about my line. Thank you,
Ronnie. Between the meetings, I'll let Mark and Drew speak to you on that matter. Okay. Thank you, Ronnie.
No further comments.
Further comments. Thank everybody for your public comment. Thank everybody for being here today. Appreciate everybody. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If you ever cannot make it to a meeting and you need to make a public comment or anything, you're welcome to email it in or whatever. We'll make during the records that. I know a lot of people work and can't make it, but we do offer that option, or if you ever need to have so we'll go from there. Thank everybody. Moving on, public comment after that. We have, today we'll have the minutes from March 20, 2023 to approve. Anybody got any discussion with the minutes or anything to do with that? All right, then we'll have the claims in the amount of $3,014,731.86. Anybody got any issue with any claim being paid or any dispute there? Then we'll have public hearing. We have none. Resolutions and orders. We got a resolution on here to approve a resolution to establish a fund to account for dump truck acquisitions and disposals. And this is for where we buy and sell trucks every year. We have, had this discussion with Emily on how to handle this. Anybody got a discussion with this? All right, moving on. Contracts, agreements, and grants and MOUs, we have none. Budget bids, we have none. Emergency purchase, we have none. Board appointments, we have none. Award of bids, we have one bid to award for Limestone County Revenue Commission for printing. Anybody got a discussion with that bid? All right, personnel, policy, staffing, and actions. First one on here be to approve to hire Sahara Palmer. I'm going to probably mispronounce that, but that's what. Has anybody got any better? Sahara. I may have to get the English teacher here to help me out, Ronnie, today. But that there. So anyways, it'll be a corrections officer pending a drug screening. Anybody got to discuss with her? Second on here be to approve to transfer Stephen Copper Posey as from corrections officer to deputy sheriff, and this will be effective today on 4/3/23. Anybody got to discuss with him? And number 3 will be to approve to hire Eddie Robertson as a truck driver in solid waste, and I was going to number 4, and number 4 will be to approve to hire Chris Crable for the same job in solid waste. Anybody got a discussion with either one of those? And for the record here, they are already working today. We had made a arrangement, a few months ago to when we were starting this program that if we got into this, they actually came on. They're already here working today. We're just approving their hire. We gave Mark and them they took the temporary positions until they were hired full time. So they will become full time employees as of all this right here. So, but they are both running today. I just wanted to thank them for coming on board with us. Anybody got a discussion with either one of them? All right. Number 5 will be to approve to hire Ella Edwards as a career tech in the IT department, and this will be effective today. Anybody got a discussion with her? And I would like to point out, this is a program that we have participated in the past. It's kind of like a workforce development. Everybody knows in this day and time that workforce is getting harder and harder to come across. And I went to Jonathan Fish with this program, talked to Vince Green out at Tech School, and we were having a hard time finding people in the IT department a few years ago. And I went to him and spoke with him, and he was kind of, he said, I don't know if I want to train people or not. Well, we took on Layla, which is sitting up here at the top of the room, and has come on full time, and that just proves to how that program really works, to develop your own employees, and that makes give people opportunity, and she has been an ace in the hole. So Jonathan has seen how that program works, and so he's took on another one. So if anybody else out there is needing employment, that's a good program to get involved in, so help get young people in the workforce. So, all right. Any more discussion? I know I've rattled a little bit about that, but that is a program I'm proud that we participated in. And merit increases, we have several listed below. Anybody got any discussion or issue with anybody on the merit increases? And I want to thank all the employees for what they do. And moving on, engineer's report, I'll turn it over to Mr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got a few subdivisions for your consideration today. We have Briar Patch subdivision. This is addition number 2. This is a major for preliminary approval, creating 12 new lots in District 2. We have Ferguson Place subdivision. This is minor for preliminary and final. It's just creating 1 new lot in District 3. Clayton Estates, this is a minor for preliminary and final, creating 2 lots in District 3. And then Wingate subdivision Phase 3, this is a major for preliminary, creating 84 lots in District 1.
All right, anybody got any discussion with any one of the subdivisions? I know that we had some discussion with the one a minute ago, but anybody have any?
Mr. Chairman, Mark, would you explain, this is just more or less approving the roads, the drainage?
Yeah, we
don't have anything to do with what the property owner does with it?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have planning and zoning. We don't have anything to limit those types of things. Property owners have, unincorporated Limestone County, have the right to develop their property and use their property as they see fit. And so what has been done is they've submitted to us for approval for the roads and the drainage associated with the subdivision, and that's what we reviewed. We do reach out because we try to require turn lanes and things of that effect at intersections when there's an increased number of lots. But since it's intersecting a state route, that's the state's. That is the state's as far as that intersection there from Phase 1. So they have to abide by what the state DOT requires out there. Yeah. And the state DOT has told us in the past that they've met all their requirements. Yeah. So we can't add requirements in the state route, in the state right of way.
And also, Mr. Chairman, Mark and I have discussed the issue of the one way in, one way out. We don't agree with it. It's a state. I know Mark has addressed the state several times about it, and hopefully something will come about to get a second.
I think the state's requirement for requiring a second access is over 400 lots before they require a secondary access.
400?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's one of the things that we can't put requirements on the state right of way.
No.
So, like I said, the state DOT says that they've met their requirements.
But that's an issue that we will keep pursuing. I can guarantee you that.
And I know that you're going to speak with Ronnie between the meetings. Does this plot here have anything to do with the property lines on it, or is this just for the road and the sewer side of it?
We review the road and sewer, the land boundaries, and those surveys. It's licensed land surveyors or engineers that do that. We look at the road. As far as if there is a dispute there, then we do try to coordinate and make sure everybody's in contact with everybody else. So I think that I had spoken with Ronnie in the past, and because the previous phase was in a different area, it didn't affect this property line. But like I said, we will look at the plat, and we'll. Our goal is to try to coordinate and make sure that any of those issues are worked out. Now, like I said, as far as the covenants and restrictions, we don't have planning and zoning. We have no say or requirements over covenants and restrictions. Those are put on by the developers, and those are civil items. So we do have so I'm not sure about those. It's like, well, one of the questions we normally get asked with subdivisions, well, what kind of house is going in there? Well, again, we don't have planning and zoning, so we can't even take that into account, what type house. So same thing with our covenants and restrictions. So there are a few things that like I said, that were brought up that weren't really anything we can review, because we look at the parts that we're going to be taking over, which is inside the right-of-way, so drainage, roads, those kinds of things. We do we review everything else and work through issues, and same thing with this property issue. We will address that and work with Ronnie and the engineer, land surveyor, to make sure that they have an understanding of where the property lines are. But if there's anything that comes up in our meeting with Ronnie, I'll be sure to let you guys know.
Thank you, Mark. Anything else? Anybody else got anything for the engineering department? Or solid waste, because Mark is that department too, I guess, right now.
Currently, we began collection today, and so they are out and working. So we ask everybody to keep that in mind. We've got the trucks on the roads, and then we are in the process of working on Carter Road. So this week we're going to try to get Carter Road paved in between our rain showers. So we have guys working in that area on Carter Road. So we've begun our paving schedule, and we've begun the process of collection. So, trash collection.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody got anything else? We'll go on. Other business, we remove one item following item from inventory from the sheriff's office, a travel trailer, and a serial number listed below. Anybody got a discussion with that item? All right, number 2 on here will be to approve a proclamation recognizing the month of April as Fair Housing Month in accordance with ADECA's requirement for recipients of the CDBG grants. And this is dealing mostly with down at the Pryor Field, where we're working on that grant for the access to the Pryor Field, and we have to do this by the accordance of the ADECA's rules. So anybody got any discussion with that? All right, number 3 will be to approve financing through Bryant Bank for 3 28-yard Freightliner garbage trucks and 1 international service truck. The terms being 60 months, full amortization, term loan of an annual payment and principal and interest. So anybody got a discussion with that? All right, the next one will be to approve financing through Trustmark Bank for the solid waste for roll-out carts, and this is for garbage cans, at a 4.175% interest rate with the terms of 60 months full amortization, the term loans with annual payments and principals and interest. So anybody got a discussion with either one of those loans? And we will have no executive session today, and we will recess for 15 minutes. Be back at 9:45, and Ronnie, and you can meet with them now. Thank you. Thank everybody for being here today.